Starting in. And welcome to Hero Power. I am your host, Avantes. And as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Zeroshio.
You can't do that to me, man. There was no countdown.
You need to make up your mind. You need to make up your mind. I did a countdown the other night. You said it gave you PTSD. I don't do a countdown, and I can't do that to you. What's it going to be, man? I need somewhere. I need a happy medium.
Hey, I reserve the right to be fickle, all right?
All right. And my other co-host, Wait. Where's Versika? Oh, that's right. Versika's out this evening. He's not feeling well, so we wish him all the best and a speedy recovery.
See, he says he's not feeling well, but I think he's just putting in extra practice time for Ziggy on Saturday.
That's right. We'll talk more about that a little later in the show. But, yeah, I believe first time in 129 episodes, you and I are duoing a show.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the last time he was out was...
we had Andrew Brown on the show, didn't we?
Yeah, because it was after his health issues. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Well, it was sooner than that, but yeah. So, all right. Well,
he did go shark diving. I forgot about shark diving.
Shark diving.
Yeah. And every time he takes vacation, I assume he's just swimming with sharks.
Oh, all right. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you guys. We're going to finish up our Witchwood review this week. Luckily, our show falls where we did our part 1 review the night before the set released. We're doing our part 2 a week after the set released, so we'll have a little more insight.
And next week, we will be back to playing a deck on the second half of the show. We have so many decks to pick from. I'm not sure what deck that Versika will pick this week, or if we'll get our inputs in this week or not. There's so many good options. We're going to have great content for probably next couple months with these new cards. I'm really excited to start playing with them.
That's right. All right. Before we get started, though, we do have a couple of little things to take care of. We have a shout out this week. Big congratulations to our good friend and co-host of Hearth Coach, Metal Dan Scholes, on his wedding that took place this past Saturday. Congratulations, sir.
Awesome, man. Congratulations. I know you are you're taking, I think it's like a week or 2 weeks honeymoon out in the Vegas area, but they are doing some rearranging of the schedule so that he can try to do some streaming, some recording while he's out there for their show, Hearth Coach. So they still will have content, but man, enjoy yourself. Congratulations. And have fun.
Yeah. Exactly. We also have a iTunes review, so Zeroshio gets to eat this week.
Yes. I'm so hungry.
It is a 5-star review from Jay LaRue with the title Awesome Podcast. Says, Hero Power does such a great job and is so informative. There are good personalities on the show and great opinions are given. Even if you are in the East Tennessee area, they also host fireside gatherings that are helpful in person. They are definitely worth meeting and hanging out with. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. We love hearing from you guys. We love getting reviews on iTunes. So thank you.
We love getting reviews anywhere. iTunes, YouTube, Twitch, the bathroom stall, the local newspaper, and the wanted ads. I don't care. It just talk about us. Tell people about the show. And yes, thank you.
let's not leave written reviews on the bathroom stall.
Hey,
may not.
we have truck
one.
drivers. Truck drivers listen to our show, and
No, they watch our show
Oh,
while
that's right.
driving. Apparently,
we don't recommend that, by the way.
PSA: don't do that. All right, guys. So,
big news, biggest news. Witchwood released.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Next out.
Next out. Hashtag next out. Yeah, Witchwood released. Their release schedule is usually on Thursdays, and we do our shows on Wednesdays. So it released the day after our show last week. I know it seems like old news, but it did come out since our last show, and everybody is just started slamming the ladder with this quote unquote new meta. And sure enough, by day 2, people were saying certain decks are OP, nerfs are already needed, the meta is already stale and settled because there's only 3 certain decks that were on the ladder, except 3 hours later there were 3 different decks on the ladder, and then 3 hours later another 3 different decks on the ladder. So this is your normal release week woes that everybody goes through. We have a lot of people in our community and in other communities that are frustrated, and then 2 days later it's the best meta ever because their deck that they play is now popular or can win against the current meta, and then that changes the following day. So just keep at it. I will say there are, and this isn't in the show notes, but there are some small little issues. I know on the Legend ladder I have not played anybody but rank 5 for like the last 2 days. And I've seen other people around my rank playing Legend players, but I haven't played a Legend player in like 4 days. So I'm hoping, I put in tickets, and I'm hoping they come up with something public on that, because I know I'm not the only one. There's lots of forum posts about it, and hopefully that gets resolved. But what decks are you enjoying right now, Avantis?
Right now, my absolute favorite deck to play is Tempo Rogue with Tess Greymane.
Fun.
Yeah.
Now is this a standard? Well, I say standard, but is this kind of your conventional Tempo Rogue, or with Tess Greymane and a couple of the thief mechanics?
Yeah, it's running.
Is it completely thiefed out?
No, it's pretty much the only thief mechanics it's running are Blink Fox and Hallucination.
You're not even running pickpocket?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm then running the Hench clan, which is a lot of fun. And then after that, it's kind of just more of your traditional tempo, Miracle into Edwin, and I'm having so much fun with it right now. It's probably my favorite deck.
Well, that Hench Clan Thug is definitely a good card, and we'll talk more about that when we go through our review towards the latter half of the show.
Yeah. So what deck are you playing right now?
I'm playing a little bit of everything. I'm pretty much grabbing everything I possibly can. I'm playing a lot of Warrior because I've always been good at Warrior, and Warrior's been out of the meta, but I want to try to revive it if I can. And so far, your Control-y Warrior is the best to play. There is a good mid-range tempo Warrior that's out, and it's doing okay, but I still favor the Control Warrior. Of course, I'm a Control player. And then, of course, I've been playing around a lot with the odds and the evens. Baku Paladin, everybody's seen Baku Paladin on the ladder. I built it too so I can play it and see the weaknesses. And I'm a Paladin player, and I'm an old school Paladin player. I love Paladin. I love Shakaden back in the day, and I actually think there's a way to build Shakaden. I'm working on that now, but I digress. The Baku Paladin deck is a lot like Dude Paladin of the previous meta, and I was very public in the fact that I thought Dude Paladin was a bad deck. A lot of the pro players also, while saying it's one of the top tier decks, realized there were ways to easily counter it, and it did really bad in tournaments, but did really good on the ladder. I think you're going to get the same type of feel out of this Bakuden deck. Um, it's going to be good on the ladder because it's hard to tech against, every deck. But once people figure it out, especially in tournament formats, conquest formats, they're going to be easy to counter and target. Uh, the more fun deck, in my opinion, is the Gen Greymane mid range Paladin, and it's stronger, in my opinion, and it's more consistent in its win. It has less weaknesses, but it doesn't prey on as many decks as the Bakuden deck does. And then I've also made an even Hunter deck that focuses on a lot of board clears. I even have bloated bat in there, and lots of traps, and of course I have a Rexar, and it's just about clearing the board and then relying on your zombies to just carry you to the victory at the very end. And it just mops the floor with Odd Paladin, which is the Bakuden deck.
Yeah,
but
actually,
I said, I played a little bit of everything.
I actually copied your deck list that you posted into the Hero Power Patron Discord last week or earlier. I guess it was early this weekend. You posted that even Hunter, and I copied that deck list. I've been having a lot of fun with it. So
yeah, Matt at Arms brings up in chat, and this brings up a question. If the Hearthstone community is overreacting to OP decks or OP cards, OP being overpowered, and Matt at Arms brings up in chat that he thinks that Carnivor's Cube is going to be nerfed sometime soon. Now, obviously, the biggest proponent of that reasoning is Warlock. Cube Warlock has really kind of been out of hand. It was top of the meta before Witchwood, and now is still top of the meta, and really has no inclusions of Witchwood cards at all. A couple players add some, but then the best deck, the best form of it, has no Witchwood cards in it at all. But now there's a Druid Hadronox deck that uses Carnivor's Cube that is also top of the meta right now. I think it's came out in the last 2 days. Do you think that the community is overreacting to some of these cards and decks? And furthermore, do you think that Blizzard will respond to the community's concerns?
So, as you said, the biggest issue that people seem to be harping about at the moment is Shutterwalk. And I don't think the card Shutterwalk is a problem, because it has such a big setup that you have to do to get everything off. And there have been times I've not drawn my combo pieces until like the last 3 cards in my deck. So I don't think Shutterwalk's a problem. I think the animation time of Shutterwalk is a problem. And that is something I do believe. In fact, I think what's his name? Dean Ayala, Ixar. I believe Ixar has actually said they are looking at the animation times as being an issue. And I believe that's the biggest problem right now. I don't think any of the cards are overly powerful at the moment. I think the animation times are the real problem.
Yeah, and I would agree with you about Shutterwalk. Personally, I don't have too much trouble with the Shutterwalk deck. Now, it's on decline because people are realizing there's ways to beat it. Basically, you just play it like any other greedy control deck, or just beat it. The combo clearly has visual, identifiers of when the combo is going to go off. They literally have to have a total of 4 to 5 cards, depending on which variation of the combo you're going into, hit the board before they can even start the Shutterwalk combo, and they have to play the Shutterwalk, and then they can't actually complete the combo until the following turn. So if you basically put them in a state that when they do the Shutterwalk combo, you can set up lethal the next turn, which usually is extremely late in the game and is possible even for other control decks to do, then it's easily beaten. Now, I personally have been working on ways to optimize the Shutterwalk deck. And I know a lot of other players are doing that as well. And of course, they're putting in different kind of draw mechanics and so forth. I right now am toying with an idea. I took out some of the not so essential key pieces of the deck, and I put in Hemet Jungle Hunter. Which Hemet Jungle Hunter, if you don't remember what he is, it's no surprise. He's a 6-mana 6/6, I believe he is, that removes all 3 cost and lower cards out of your deck.
So
there's the Fire Plume Harbinger and the Murmuring Elemental are 2 mana. Once you get those 2 cards, all the rest of the pieces are 4 or more. So at that point, you can destroy the rest of your deck and go for that essential last piece or 2 that you need. Of course, you have to time that perfectly. And I've gotten it to work, but I was 1 turn too slow before my opponent beat me still. So it wasn't quite as fast as I wanted, and I'm still perfecting it, seeing what else I can put in there. But I think the Shutterwalk deck is a good combo deck, similar to the OTK Mage deck with the Quest Mage. Now, a lot of people didn't like that deck, but you could beat it, and there were identifiers to look for. Actually, less identifiers than the Shutterwalk deck. So I think the community might be overreacting to some of these, but some of them, like I mentioned, the Carnivorous Cube and Mad at Arms in chat mentioned, might get addressed by Blizzard. It'd be great. Now, after just 6 days of the set, does anything stand out or surprise you about what you've seen out of the new set and the meta?
No, because as some of the others have pointed out, the meta hasn't really changed as much as I think they would have liked. We're still seeing mostly a lot of cube lock, a lot of dude paladin. You know, the meta, I feel like, while we have the new cards and we have some cool new stuff, didn't really shake up as much as maybe they thought it would.
Okay, and I can see that, but we've been in this position before. If you remember last year, just before the newest set of the year came out, the meta was probably the stalest it's ever been, and out of nowhere, Frozen made this Water Warrior package.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it turned into Water Rogue and Water this and Water that, and it was a whole new set of cards that could be plugged out throughout, various decks. And it totally changed the landscape of the meta. It made those decks that had started to be countered upon better, which then all of a sudden opened up for counters for other decks that were weak to the original, but now they're not weak to the new water form. So, which the water form was a combination of pirates and murlocs. That's why they call it water. So I expect us to see something like this maybe in the next probably about 3 to 4 weeks out of the set, which is usually when things happen. We're going to be having the new, was it Bounty Hunt? Or
yeah, the new solo content.
Yeah, the new solo content's going to come out next week.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to slow down. They're going to start playing it. They're going to see things in that, like they did with the dungeon runs, certain combinations of cards or lesser used cards that are in their draft that they thought weren't very good, but when used a certain way are good. And it's going to spring up new ideas. And those new ideas are going to then flow into the meta. I love the fact that originally I didn't like that they were delaying the solo content 2 weeks from launch. But because of the way the meta kind of fleshes itself out, and it's dominated primarily by streamers and pro players that go public with their decks, I think that this solo content might actually bring a new style of decks, because the style of players that play solo content are totally different than the streamers and the pro players that usually form the meta at this time of the release. So I hope that we see a fresher meta come out week 3 or 4 and revolutionize the ladder. I would say probably when the next month resets, we'll start seeing some more uniqueness because people are going to want to try something different on the ladder.
Yeah, I agree. We're still early on, like you said. We're only a week in. Give it a little time to shake out, settle down. We probably haven't even seen all of the final decks that we're going to see for the meta. We may have a couple more pop up. So buckle up. We've got a long way to go, and get ready to see what happens.
Yeah, to me, it's like the new Denny's opens up in town, and it opens up at 7 in the morning, and you drive by at 7:15, the parking lot's empty, and you start telling all your friends they're going out of business, they're getting no business. It's the new Denny's is already dead. It just opened up. The store just opened up. Give customers time to actually get in and enjoy the place, and that's kind of how Witchwood is now. People just need to calm down, enjoy the game, and not be so results oriented about their play, and actually maybe get in there and try to play some creative stuff. And for myself, I've been trying out the deck recipes, which you can check out when I stream at twitch.tv/SoroshiOHS. But shameless plug.
Versika head shake.
That's how I am kind of enjoying the meta right now, and eventually it'll give my creative juices flowing. Obviously, Versika is the mad scientist. I'll steal some of his ideas and perfect on them in my way, and I'm excited. I like where the meta is at right now. People are saying it's stale, but I'm seeing change.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk more as in over the next couple of weeks as it unfolds.
Yep.
But as we alluded to earlier, the first week of season 2 of the United Hearthstone League is here. It is upon us. We've had a couple of matches already this week.
Yes.
And the big match between Versika and Ziggy Sarah, I guess this is a rematch from season 1, will happen this Saturday, April 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern on, I guess it's probably going to be streamed over at twitch.tv/United Hearthstone League.
Yep.
So,
as a matter of fact, they have their own production team, including the Swagoi teams, Brasky and Steffi and that crew from Swagoi, which is a popular team and production crew from THL, Team Hearth League. They're doing a great job. They've had some kinks with their production, but again, this is the first time that they have tried this, and Ferris Biscuit is still testing the waters on things and making sure that the broadcasters have good bandwidth, things like that. So just give them some patience. There were 2 other, there's been 3 matches so far, but the first 2 were won by the female competitors, which was Toast the Badger and O'Leary.
both female Canadians, by the way.
Both female Canadians. So and then today, Lore Master Eve played against the defending champion Ridiculous Hat, and he ended up winning 3-1. But she made it a very difficult, set of matches, and was able to pull off a win with a Shutterwalk combo that just was brilliantly piloted. So I believe the addition of the new members to the UHL, the new players, has so far proven really good.
Yep. So make sure you tune in this Saturday. Remember, it's #Team Versika if you want to cheer for Versika, and get out there on the Twitters and let them know.
Yep.
So this week's Tavern Brawl is Idols of Azeroth. This is a rehash. Yeah, we've seen this one a few times. Basically, ever draw a spell when you really need a minion? Never again. Your deck will be 30 Raven Idols, so you'll be able to discover whatever you need.
Not whatever I need, because every time I picked minion, I didn't get a demon for my demon quest, and I was playing Warlock. It's like, come on, where are my demons? I played like 2 full games and got 1 demon. Like, nah.
You're not going to get no. You're going to get minions. You're just not going to get the minions you want. So
that's right.
All right. So that's going to bring us to our review. So
Yes.
let me make sure I got everything up over here. All right. So we talked about 6 classes last week, and
Uh-huh.
this week we're going to finish out the last 3. Plus, we're going to touch on a few of the neutrals, and we're going to start this week with Priest. Now, Priest has 2 new legendaries, just like the other classes. The first is Lady in White, who is a 6 mana 5/5 battle cry. Cast Inner Fire on every minion in your deck. So,
What?
when I first saw this card, the first thing that popped into my head was Sleeping Dragon, Ysera, all these minions with big behinds that are gonna just be able to come out and beat stick. And I still think this could be a thing. I haven't seen it yet. I mean, I've seen a few people playing with Lady in White. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see as the meta shapes up,
So
but I think
so
it could be a lot of fun.
so Avantis, are you saying you like big butts and you cannot lie?
Yes, I
So
am.
Lady in White's really interesting, and I expected a lot of people to play with this. And so far, it hasn't become a very popular um, deck design, mainly because you can't guarantee you'll draw her on curve, and if you don't draw her on curve, the rest of your deck is not optimal. Now, I'm sure over time people will figure out a more optimal way to build it, like what they did with the Giants Priest. The problem with Lady in White is a lot of people thought you could originally just throw her in like a dragon deck, and it'll just work itself out. However, one of your key dragons right now, since a lot of your dragons are left, is Twilight Drake, which is actually a 4/1 that gets health based on how big your hand size is. So it becomes a 1/1 because the attack matches the health and its actual health is 1. So since you had to take that out of the deck, it watered the deck too much down with other, you had to fill it with suboptimal, and I'm sure somebody will figure out a way to make it work. And I'm excited for that. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. uh, Actually, I don't even know if I got I think I did get a Lady in White, if I'm not mistaken, but I haven't had a chance to play with her. Yeah, I have Lady in White, but I don't have the other legendary, which is Chameleos. And Chameleos was a very, people were really excited for this one. It's a 1 mana 1/1 beast, and it says each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a card your opponent is holding. What do you think of this card, Avantis?
So this is a card that I think is underrated. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's awful." You know, you're just gonna hold it in your hand, and you get to see one card each turn. But really, I think of it more as I'm gonna hold it in my hand, and it's gonna be a big red button that I can hit when I need to. You know, it could be anything. Literally, it could be a boat, and and I like having that flexibility in my hand. If I hold on to it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 turns, it could allow me to combo something that might not be comboable otherwise. I think it has a lot of versatility, but that's really gonna be its thing.
So there was a lot of excitement for this card when it was revealed. And then when it was released, the excitement kind of dropped down because people realized that it was kind of slow. It's a dead card in your hand. You're constantly holding. It's similar to having a quest that is a slow quest, like the priest quest. And B, the meta is not filled with impactful cards right now. Your mage decks aren't making sure to run a pyroblast to finish off your opponent that you could steal and possibly steal lethal from them. They're not running any huge disrupting tool that will disrupt their deck as well. Um, so like an Archmage Benedictus or something like that, or the people are running Togwaggle decks. If you steal their Togwaggle, you can now flip it on them. Those decks just aren't being ran. A lot of your decks are running a lot of really basic, common, rare cards that by themselves are not impactful, but coupled with the rest of the cards in their hand are impactful. And because of that, you don't get a lot of benefit from Chameleon Ghost other than just the knowledge that it comes from knowing what's in their hand. So I think once the meta changes some, this card might become valuable. Or right now, it's just kind of a dead card in your hand most of the time.
All right. So those are your legendaries from Priest. Your epics, I felt like, were just kind of meh with this. You've got Glitter Moth, which is a 5-mana 4/4 that says if your deck has only odd cards, double the health of your other minions. And then you have Vivid Nightmare, which is a 3-mana spell. Choose a friendly minion, summon a copy of it with 1 health remaining.
So Glitter Moth really doesn't have a spot right now, and I don't know if it ever will, because the odd mechanic in Priest doesn't seem like it's going to kick off. But Vivid Nightmare has potential. I didn't really think about this card. It wasn't on my radar until I started playing the deck recipes with Priest. And one of the deck recipes actually uses this card, and it has Velen in the deck, as well as the Spellstone for Priest, which resurrects minions and has a lot of spells. So the Vivid Nightmare can actually get you multiples of minions that are on the board that you've resurrected, and especially at its cost of 3 mana, possibly get you a second Velen to then empower your Mind Blast. Mind Blast Priest is also out there, and it's kind of in the meta. So far, I haven't seen them use Vivid Nightmare, but it is a tool that may eventually be added to a combo deck, and I think it has potential.
Okay. One of my favorite cards in the Priest grouping is the rare Holy Water. It's a 5-mana spell that says deal 4 damage to a minion. If it kills it, add a copy of that minion to your hand. I like the possibilities with this card.
Yes, and you can actually steal your opponent's combos with something like, if you can kill off their Shutterwalk before they have a chance to finish their combo the next turn. If you can kill off a Tess Greymane and then turn around and then use the Tess Greymane. There's lots of different options to possibly utilize this. You can also use it to kill your own minions, which adds them to the death stack and allows you to play a second copy of it. We haven't seen the big combo Priest that uses the corrupted. Is Corrupted Healbot still in the meta? Or no, that was in Old Gods, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
So the Corrupted Healbot, that's not a possibility, but there may be combos that you could use with this that'll just give you another one of those minions. It'll be really neat to see. Yeah. I personally am a big fan of Nightscale Matriarch. It's a 7-mana 4/9 dragon.
I've been seeing a lot of 3/3 whelps at the board.
Yeah, it says whenever a friendly minion is healed, summon a 3/3 whelp. Now, if you do a large board heal like Circle of Healing, or another card, Divine Hymn, which is only a 2-mana pre-spell that says restore 6 health to all friendly characters, you can really just fill the board with 3/3 whelps.
Yeah.
I think this card is what Dragon Soul wanted to be.
I could see that, yeah. Definitely.
And I think 3/3 is a nice stat line, It's not too overpowering, but it's strong enough to really turn the tide. And the thing about Night Scale Matriarch is you can put her on the board and then heal. She doesn't have to be damaged. She doesn't have to be healed. Just any other minion, any other your friendly minions, which couple this with something like a Wild Pyromancer along with Circles of Healing might actually work out. Night Scale Matriarch, Wild Pyromancer into Powered Shield, and Circle of Healing on turn 10. I know it's a lot of cards, but it's also a lot of whelps.
Yep. Yep. So, all right. Well, that pretty much covers the priest cards.
There is one more that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
And again, we're not talking about all the cards. We're just talking about the ones that so far have been are most impactful. Is Coffin Crasher. Coffin Crasher is a 6-mana 6/5 Death Rattle. Summon a Death Rattle minion from your hand. I've seen this a few times be played with, but if this becomes a thing where you can cheat out Obsidian statues, it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right, our next class is Warlock. So, the Warlock legendaries are Lord Godfrey, 7 mana, 4/4, Battle Cry, deal 2 damage to all other minions. If any die, repeat this Battle Cry. Now, we kind of touched on this a little bit, I think, in a previous show, that we felt like this card was going to be strong, and I still think it will be. And we were kind of talking about it pre-show because I've got enough dust to craft a legendary, and I'm thinking about crafting Godfrey, but he doesn't really fit in anything in the meta right now.
Yeah.
So now might not be the time.
Q-Block has tried putting him in, but then they realized Spirit Singer Umbra basically they didn't need another board clear, and Spirit Singer Umbra alongside the Carnivorous Cube just worked better. So those empty slots that happened from Mistress of Mixtures going out and kind of changing the way the deck was built because of the meta, it opened the door for Godfrey, but then it also opened the door for Umbra, and Umbra just fits better.
Yeah. And then the other legendary is Glinda Crowskin. She's a 6 mana 3/7 whose text reads, minions in your hand have echo.
So this card has actually been getting some play in Warlock Zoo. And 6 mana 3/7 is really good stat line for Zoo. She's been kind of fitting in that late end game. Some people are taking Gul'dan out. Some people are just taking one of the Doom Guards out. But they're also putting in the Snow Flipper Penguins. And they're spamming the board with Snow Flipper Penguins and then immediately filling up the board the rest of the way with Sea Giants.
Okay. All right.
This if you're playing against another board-centric opponent that also fills the board up, that's less Snow Flipper Penguins you have to put out before you can start filling up with Sea Giants because the cost got low enough. So it actually works. You get more Sea Giants if you're playing against somebody who is aggro.
Let's refresh real quick. Echo is when you cast a minion with Echo, you put a copy of that card in your hand.
Yes. And you can play it again until the end of turn, and then it goes away.
Correct. Now, Nosgad in chat asks, Zeroshio, what is your take on Echo so far as a mechanic?
So my take on Echo so far is that see what I did there? Okay. Anyways, I like it. I think that it's not being utilized in the most effective ways. A lot of people are using it in Control Warrior and in slower decks, but so far, some people are saying it's too slow for your faster decks, your more aggro or quicker mid-range decks. However, I think that's going to start changing. I've seen some of the Shaman decks put in the 2/2 Murloc who has Echo. I've seen some of the priests adding the squashling, which is a 2/1 with echo that heals. And I think people are going to start realizing that when you're playing a tempo game, those echo cards are like having, two, sometimes three or four cards in one. So when your opponent has to use 3 or 4 cards to remove all those echo minions, that's only one card you've exhausted out of your deck. So I think echo has a place, but I don't think people have figured it out yet, and I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about the epics for a second. The 2 epics for Warlock are the Death Web Spider, which is a 5-mana 4/6 battle cry. If your hero took damage this turn, gain life steal. And Rat Catcher, which is a 3-mana 2/2 with rush, battle cry, destroy a friendly minion, gain its attack and health. So, unlike the Priest epics, I actually like these epics. I think these epics are pretty strong. I agree with our chat. I believe Rat Catcher may very well be underrated.
First off, Deathweb Spider I think is a good solid card. It actually has space in maybe the Doomguard slot in something like Zoo to help you sustain mid-game without too much sacrifice. Because having a 4/6 with lifesteal is just solid on turn 5. But Ratcatcher, I'm not going to say that it's just underrated. I'm going to say it's the most underrated card in the set so far. A lot of people thought, well, I got to destroy a friendly minion. I gain attack and health. It's not that impactful. You're really just having a 3-mana 2/2. You're keeping the same amount of stats on the board. So really you're not getting any extra for that extra mana. But it's been used as an activator for Carnivorous Cube. So all of a sudden you have what's that make it? A 6/8 with Rush, and you've activated a cube that might contain Doom Guards or Void Lords. That's ridiculous. And this allows you with the Carnivorous Cube and something like Skull of Minari to do this on 8 mana. So on turn 8, you can pull this off. It's ridiculous. So much board presence.
Yeah. As Matt at Arms in chat says, or giants. I mean, there's just
giants.
The possibilities are ridiculous.
Or snow flipper penguins. You can put anything in the cube. You don't know.
All right. So that's those. What we still have left to talk about is rares and commons, and of these, I don't know. None of these really jump out. I think personally, Blood Witch has some of the best art in the set, if not in the game.
It does. And I like her effect. And she's a 4-mana 3/6. At the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to your hero. This basically activates things that have more effect when they take damage. Now, I think the best card in the common and rare slot is Duskbat, which is a 3-mana 2/4 beast. And it says Battle Cry. If your hero took damage this turn, summon 2 1/1 bats. This is really good Zoo, especially with the inclusions of Fungalmancers. Because in that late game, when you've kind of exhausted a lot of your means, at like turn 8, when you're trying to just get a good board to finish your opponent off, having this followed up by a Fungalmancer is useful if you took damage that turn. And Blood Witch could cause that to activate.
Yeah. Are there any others that really jump out at you?
Really, the only one, they've all seen little fringe play here and there, but Curse of Weakness is the one that I am surprised has not seen more play. It's a 2-mana Warlock spell that says Echo, give all enemy minions -2 attack until your next turn. I actually got this in Arena, and it was really good. Basically, it's like having a Frost Nova for Warlock, because it gives all your enemy minions -2 attack per time you cast it and has Echo. until your next turn. So that means they have the reduced attack the entire your entire opponent's turn.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole time they can't attack with them, because in Hearthstone, if they have 0 attack, you can't even attack. It's not like other card games.
Right.
So if they get any benefit for attacking, it goes away. So I think it's a good stall mechanic that can be used to set up maybe like a combo Warlock or some kind of control Warlock, because if their board is filled with something like dudes, they can't even put more minions on the board, and they don't have a good way to destroy their minions to open up slots for their board. So I think it's a card that we'll end up seeing play later.
Maybe just not in this current meta, but in a future meta.
I think it could now, just nobody's found the right spot for it, because to be honest, there's no room for in the perfection that is Cube Lock right now.
Gotcha.
And if there is a nerf that causes Cube Lock to either go away or have to adjust how it's built, this might fill the spot.
Okay. And that leaves us with our last class to discuss, the Warrior. So, we had talked about prior to the set being released that Warrior wasn't in a really good place at that point in time. And now we've gotten these 10 new Warrior cards, and all of a sudden we're starting to see some Warrior pop up here and there. Now, is it still good? Is it good? That's debatable. But one thing's for sure, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that's basically thanks to one of their legendaries, the Black Howl Gunspire. It's a 7-mana 3/8 that cannot attack. However, whenever this minion takes damage, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. So you can only imagine the Gunspire faceless manipulator shenanigans that have been seen across Twitch in the last week.
Well, you're seeing this also with Black Owl Gunspire and Carnivorous Cube. And Carnivorous Cubes then being faceless, and then they all pop via something like a Brawl, and then immediately follow up with various forms of Whirlwind, Garrosh, Hero Power, Warpath, which Warpath is, just to jump to it real quick because it's influential in the conversation, is it's a 2-mana spell, deal 1 damage to all minions, but it has Echo. So you can continue to cast it. And having 3 or 4 Gunspires on the board can make this thing go crazy. This is one of the first decks I built. It's a combo deck, so it was hard to pull off, but it was a lot of fun when you did. And when you didn't, it still had some decent win conditions.
Okay. And the other legendary is Darius Crowley. It's a 5-mana 4/4 with Rush. After this attacks and kills a minion, gain +2/+2.
So I slept on this card. I thought he was good.
Was it comfortable?
But it really wasn't. His teeth were on my neck. But regardless, the thing with Darius Crowley is, I might go as far to say he is the best class legendary in the set. The deck that he belongs in, though, mid-range, it's a tempo warrior, is not completely fleshed out yet, but has had good success. It's good top tier 2, hugging that tier 1 line. And I think as the meta starts to flesh around a little bit, you might actually see Darius Crowley in this rush-based tempo warrior, where basically instead of having charge, they basically get an attack on a minion and can kill it. And then your opponent has to utilize some form of tool to then remove that minion. And if you stagger your threats well enough, you're going to get 2 and 3 card value out of just 1 card. And Darius Crowley is one of those cards that you can actually end up getting a ton of removal off of if done properly.
Yeah, so Warrior really benefited from the rush mechanic as a whole, more so than any other class, I think. Mm-hmm. And one of the Warrior epics is the Town Crier, which I think's a great card. It's 1 mana, 1/2, battle cry, draw a rush minion from your deck. So as you were talking about, this helps you get those, cards, it helps you thin your deck, it helps you draw, and it goes more towards that rush mechanic that you were just talking about with Darius and some of these other cards that have this new mechanic. What are your thoughts?
with Tempo Warrior, you really want to be playing 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana, right on curve with your mana going up every turn. Town Crier really fits into that, drawing that rush. You draw a rush minion, and then turn 2, you can play their common weapon that they got, Woodcutter's Axe, which is a 2/2 weapon with Death Rattle. Give +2/+1 to a random friendly rush minion, and then you could follow it up again with on turn 3, or with the coin, pop it out with another rush minion that you got from Town Crier. And there's a lot of really good rush minions in the 3, 4, well, actually all the way down to 2 mana, up to 5 mana slot, and both in neutral and in the warrior class. So I think warrior might have gotten the best combination of cards for the class. I didn't expect that. Black Cow Gunspire is my favorite legendary, but I really think that as a class, warrior got the best well-rounded amount of cards. Now, whether that equates to warrior's comeback, we'll have to see. I don't think the meta's fleshed out yet, but
Right.
warrior's getting a lot of play right now.
Yeah, and the other epic warrior got is one that I've not seen played yet, and it's Deadly Arsenal. It's a 6 mana spell, which is basically a Dragon's Breath. If you remember, Dragon's Breath for mages is 5, draw a spell from your deck, deal its damage to all minions. But Deadly Arsenal is 6 mana, reveal a weapon from your deck, and deal its attack to all minions. So it's a warrior version of Dragon's Breath, basically. Costs 1 more and uses a weapon's attack power instead of a spell's mana cost.
The difference is you can be more specific with this because there's less weapons than you would put spells in a deck.
That's right. So yeah. And that pretty much like we already talked about Warpath and we already talked about Woodcutter's Axe. So, really that only really leaves like the Red Band Wasp that I would talk about. It's a 2 mana 1/3 rush, has +3 attack while damaged. So, it has the old enrage mechanic. So
yeah, and it's a very solid card in that Tempo Warrior deck, and that's really the best thing to say about it. It's just a good card. All the cards are just solid.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that brings us to our legendary neutral cards. Don't know why Gunspire and Crowley are in this list, but
yeah. I accidentally had them checked still, but you can change it if you wanted.
Yeah.
Up at the top. Yeah.
Of course, then I probably have to refresh, don't I?
Filter. Yeah, or hit filter. Yeah, I will update the show notes.
All right. So I think this is where, outside of, a couple of the class legendaries like Shutterwalk and Darius, I think the neutral legendaries are where this set shines. Because
I think by far they have the best neutral legendaries out of a set by ratio. Now, mind you, they only have 5 now with the new format where they're doing 2 class legendaries per class. So since they've done that, usually you see the 5 neutral legendaries kind of like filler legendaries, but it's kind of flipped this set where the filler legendaries are your class legendaries and your neutral legendaries are ones that will go in more decks. And that's good because that means you're going to get more value if you have to craft a legendary. If you're going to craft a legendary, I would suggest start with the neutrals because you'll be able to put them in more decks.
Yeah. So obviously we've talked about Baku and we've talked about Gin extensively. Those are your odd and even legendaries that you basically are building your entire deck around. One of the things I really like that Blizzard has done is as soon as you add one of these cards to your deck, it asks, would you like to filter your collection by odd or even? So you don't have to do it. It'll do it for you.
So add it to your deck first. Now, if
Right.
you want to go back and change it, you can filter it yourself, and the command's very easy. It's just mana : and then you put odd or even.
Yeah.
But it will put it automatically if you add it into your deck first. Well, if you add it at all, but it's best to do it if you do it first.
Yeah. So with those out of the way, let's talk about Azalina Soul Thief for a second.
Yeah, let's talk about Azalina Soul Thief.
She's a 7 mana 3/3 battle cry. Replace your hand with a copy of your opponent's. There have been, shall we say, some shenanigans. I have seen Infinite Turn Mage with Azalina. I have seen, what was his name from King whatever from Cobalt?
Togwaggle?
Yeah, Togwaggle, where you switch and then they can't get their deck back, and you just it's
well,
ridiculous.
what happens is you switch and then you get a ransom card.
Yeah.
As well.
So yeah, I mean, there's just some crazy things going on with Azalina Soul Thief. It's
the one thing that I saw was done by Hysteria, who's a well-known kind of theorist and does crazy stuff, kind of like Disguised Toast does. And he did an Azalina Soul Thief. It's like a 8-card, 12 mana combo, and it's an OTK.
Oh,
and it involves, it's rogue, and it involves using Wanted to get 2 coins, so you have a total of 12 mana available to you, and using Lore Walker Cho to give your opponent spells to then do damage to them, then bringing back your Azalina and just doing it all in one turn. It's ridiculously memey and not competitive at all, but the fact that this is possible with Azalina Soul Thief is just, it's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I don't have this card yet, but I tell you, as soon as I can get it or have the dust to craft it, after seeing what Hysteria did, I'm going to try this because I love combos.
Yeah. So,
and not just the peanut butter filled pretzel combo, like or cheese filled, whatever.
One of the cards I rated pretty high that I really want to see pan out, it may not be this meta, but maybe after the next expansion, is Countess Ashmore. I really like this card. She's a 7 mana 6/6 battle cry. Draw a rush, a lifesteal, and a death rattle card from your deck. This reminds me of Curator, where Curator saw a lot of play. Now, granted, Curator was a taunt minion as well, and she is not. But I like the 6/6 size, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Ducharmo says he has Countess Ashmore in his Spiteful Druid deck, and it's working pretty well. So
yeah, it's great. And one thing is, if a minion meets the requirements of rush, of multiple, like rush, lifesteal, and death rattle, and you have more than one copy of it, you can get a minion twice. So in the case of something like Obsidian Statue, you can get 2 Obsidian Statues if it hits the lifesteal for one and death rattle for the other.
Okay, that's good to know. And then the other one is Dollmaster Dorian. It's a 5 mana 2/6. Whenever you draw a minion, summon a 1/1 copy of it. Now, was it you or Versika that was pretty excited about this card?
Versika was more excited than I was, mainly because of shenanigans. And I thought it'd be too hard to pull off doing things like Malagos combos and whatnot. But so far, I've seen some streamers be able to pull things like this off. I think it has great combo potential. And I can't wait to see what more creative stuff people can do with him. I will tell you this. There's a lot of people in various streams and clips that I'm seeing. They play the Dollmaster Dorian and basically hope they don't kill it. and the opponent doesn't kill it because it has 2/6 body, which isn't great, but it might be a little harder to remove if you're running, say, an aggro-based deck. And all of a sudden, they can just go crazy the next turn.
Okay. Cool. So that brings us to the neutral led epics.
Yeah, I messed up again.
And here we, of these, the ones that have been talked about the most that I've been hearing are Voodoo Doll, which is a 3-mana 1/1 battle cry, choose a minion, death rattle, destroy the chosen minion. This is seeing a lot of play in Warlock right now.
It's seeing a ton of play, and not just Warlock, but many varieties, and everybody's finding ways to kill this thing off, whether it be with hero powers or mortal coils or anything, or putting it out with Spirit Singer Umbra, which immediately does it. Now they don't get double the value out of it, but it makes it so they don't have to kill it off. This card is just good. It's great removal, and it's neutral removal, which is what is very hard to find.
Right. And then the other card that I've been hearing a lot of is Witch's Cauldron, specifically in Paladin.
Yeah, this is one that really caught me off guard and surprised me. I did not see this coming. It's not just Paladin; it's a lot of very minion-based decks that have minions die. Like Zoo actually has used this. Aggro Druid has used this, but Paladin right now is the most predominant because they have both varieties of aggro, both the even version with Gang Greymane and the odd version with Bakum the Moon Eater. And it is just getting great work because while Shaman may not have the best spells, they have some of the best time spells with other classes.
This card has single-handedly won me a couple of games because, like, I've been playing a Paladin deck with this, and there have been more than one occasion I've gotten blood. What's it called? I'm drawing a blank.
Blood Fury?
Yeah, no.
No.
It's the
Bloodlust.
one all mean, yeah,
Bloodlust.
I've gotten Bloodlust multiple times with a board full of dudes and just won on like turn 6 or turn 7.
So did they all go to battle, to battle, to battle, to battle, to battle?
Yes, they did.
So another card that I've seen quite a bit is Nightmare Amalgam. A lot of people said this is just going to be crab bait, but there's no real reason not a lot of heavy themed decks to put crabs in.
It's a 3-mana 3/4 that triggers stuff.
Yeah, and what's great about it is some people are putting it in decks just for the off chance of getting triggers, not as a core deck building thing.
Right.
A 3-mana 3/4 is solid. Spider Tank was put in decks just because it was a 3-mana 3/4 that was a mech. This is a 3-mana 3/4 that's anything.
Right.
So it's really power creep on Spider Tank. I love this card. It's good. Yeah.
The only other one that jumps out at me that I really want to talk about is Baleful Banker. Now,
yes.
I've not seen it played a lot yet, but it's a 2-mana 2/2 battle cry. Choose a friendly minion, shuffle a copy of it into your deck. I mean, this gives you so much flexibility and options to do crazy things again. That I love this card.
So I've seen situations where some decks are more control-y, and they'll put this in the deck with Zola the Gorgonzola, and end up getting a total of 3 Baleful Bankers. And when they're playing against a fatigue deck, they never fatigue because they're constantly shuffling another Baleful Banker into their deck.
Gotcha.
A deck I'm working on, everybody knows I love Control Paladin, but Control Paladin has not been in a good spot in a long time. And they've said that OTK Combo Paladin is dead because Beardo is out of the set, and you can't trigger all of your horsemen at the same time. Well, with Baleful Banker, if you can stall the game long enough, you can summon your horsemen and then shuffle them into your deck and eventually get all 4 horsemen into your hand. And for 8 mana, you can play them all. Therefore, OTKing your opponent without having to do any damage to them at all. Whether I can make it work has yet to be seen, but I am playing with the build on it.
Okay. I was just sitting here thinking about maybe some way to work Baleful Banker into like a Dead Man's Hand warrior.
I'm sure there's a way, to get more Gunspires.
Or
so that you can even get more Gunspires on the board, or just to get more taunts.
Create an infinite loop and never fatigue. You got me thinking about the no fatigue thing, and so.
Baleful Banker has a lot of potential with just the thing about this set, especially with Echo, is you're going to get a lot of cards that get multiple value, and Baleful Banker is just one of those options. You can then, after you've put out a bunch of minions that off of one Echo, you can then shuffle a copy into your deck, so then you could do it again later on. So if you were able to cast 3 or 4 minions off of one Echo twice a game because you have 2 copies, with Baleful Banker, you could do it 4 times.
Yeah.
That's just a value. It's just straight up value.
Yeah. All right. So let's real quick. Let's touch on both the rares and the commons real quick.
Before we deep dive into it, I just want to say
have time
that
to deep dive.
Oh, I know. We're not. This is my point. Before we deep dive in it, the most impactful cards have been epics, in some of the legendaries. The commons and the rares are just kind of filler cards. None have been terribly impactful, except for just a couple. So we're only going to touch on a couple cards out of all of the rares and the commons.
Yeah, and I want to start with probably what I think is the most impactful of the rares, and that's Life Drinker.
Yeah, and that's mine too. And it's a 4-mana 3/3 beast. Battle Cry, deal 3 damage to the enemy hero, restore 3 health to your hero. This is being used for the OTK combo with Shudderwalk.
As the win condition, yeah.
As the win condition, as well as just being a solid tool in aggro decks like Zoolock that just gives you a little extra sustain to get you a little further. It's a 6 damage swing. You do 3 damage to your opponent and you heal for 3. The other rare that's pretty much the only one I've seen has been hugely impactful is Witchwood Grizzly. And it's a 5-mana 3/12 taunt. Battle Cry, lose 1 health for each card in your opponent's hand. Against an aggro deck, this thing is almost unstoppable. Again, in a control style matchup, if you can find some way to bring it back by a Hadronox or some other reoccurring, or to recruit it out via something like Oaken Summons, it's also very hard to get rid of. And to be honest, those are the 2 most impactful rares that I've seen. Mad Hatter and Scaleworm and a few of those have shown up in the meta, but nothing predominantly like those 2 cards.
Right, yeah. Scaleworm has seen some play. I really want to see. I was kind of hoping for, and we may see later, Chief Inspector become viable if we see a secret heavy meta later with Hunter and Mage, but Mage lost Ice Block, so how much of a threat they still have explosive runes.
Yeah.
All right, and that brings us to the commons. Let me go ahead and uncheck Warrior here.
I fixed the links in the show notes, so that'll be good.
All right, that'll work. All right, so of the commons, the one I think that a few of these have been seeing play pretty regularly. The one I feel like is one of the more predominant ones is one we talked about earlier in the show when you asked me what I'd been playing, and that's Hench Clan Thug. He's 3-mana 3/3 that says get after your hero attacks, give this minion +1/+1.
Rogue is tearing up with this. It's also very good in Druid. I've seen it in Hunter and even in some Warrior builds. It's if you're going to be attacking with your face fairly often or constantly, it's just great. I mean, turn 2 as a rogue, you dagger up a lot. You can then follow it up with Hench Clan Thug, which all of a sudden you put him out, attack with your dagger, and he's a 4/4 for 3 mana. If that's not value, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other ones I've been seeing played a lot is the Rotten Apple Bomb. It's
Yes.
a 5 mana 4/5 taunt with Death Rattle. Restore 4 health to your hero.
And this is good sustain for classes that normally don't have good taunts and don't have healing. So putting Rotten Apple Bomb in something like a rogue deck, or in something like a hunter deck could actually give you time for those smaller minions to build the board, go face, as well as giving you some heal when it's finally cleared in a class that doesn't have healing. Now, in that same kind of juncture, the only other common that really stands out to me that I use a lot is Marsh Drake. It's a 3 mana 5/4 dragon. So it meets the dragon synergies. Battle Cry, summon a 2/1 poisonous Drake Slayer for your opponent. This is great in something like Rogue. Again, on turn 2, you dagger up. Turn 3, you put out a 5/4 and clear the 2/1 that he put out on the board. And all of a sudden, you have a 5/4 against your opponent on turn 3. Might be putting out something like a 2/4 taunt.
Or a 3/3, yeah.
Or maybe a 3/3 or a 3/4. You're definitely getting the better exchange. It'll clear that minion. They'll also have to use a tool to clear another minion. It's just good. It's good druid. It's good in all the places that Hench Clan Thug is. So those are 2 cards. The only thing is they both battle for the same mana slot. But honestly, with the odds and evens now, you might be running this in, say, an odd deck.
Okay. I have been seeing Swamp Dragon Egg get some play. It's a 1 mana 0/3 Death Rattle. Add a random dragon to your hand.
Yeah, I don't think. I think this is the least impactful dragon since Dragon Egg, where all it did was draw you a card. So this is kind of like a better Dragon Egg. The only thing is the dragon going to be impactful? Is it going to be worth you playing? Is it going to be something like Marsh Drake in a class like Priest, where you may not be able to kill the 2/1 very easily? Or will it be something like Nosdormu that you might not want to play that late in the game, or if you're going to go that late in the game? So I haven't seen any good applications of Swamp Dragon Egg yet, but all the eggs always have a good place, and people make decks around them, and they end up being pretty good.
Yeah, and on the meme front, Odd Hunter has been running Clockwork Automaton because Baku improves your hero power, which makes makes the Hunter hero power do 3.
Yeah.
Then you Clockwork Automaton, then you cube it, you faceless the cube, you kill all that, and then you hero power for like 128 on 1 turn.
Yeah, I've tried that style deck. It's not very easy. I've actually taken Clockwork Automaton out and put in Blackwalled Pixie, which is a 3 mana 3/4 with the Battle Cry refresh your hero power. So on 7 mana, you can do a full 6 damage, which might be exactly what you need for lethal. Because usually in that deck, you want to win on turn 7, not try to put out a BB combo. But when that combo goes off, it's Trolldom worthy, and it's a lot of fun to watch and do.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, that pretty much finishes up our review of the Witchwood set. Last thoughts. What do you? Anything you want to talk about before we wrap it up tonight, Zeroshio?
I want to just thank everybody for being supportive to the show. We've had a lot of really good responses lately from the community, supporting Versika in the UHL, and just supporting our show as a whole. We've never tried to be the top dog podcast that exists on iTunes. We've preferred to have just a solid quality of community, and you guys have delivered that. And on a related note, we're sorry Versika couldn't be here. He was sick tonight, but thanks Versika for everything you put into helping the show run this week and every week, of course. And we hope you get a speedy recovery. We'll hear your opinions on some of these cards next week.
That's right. So, all right. I just want to remind everybody, make sure you're following United HS League on Twitter. A lot of great matches are going to be happening this week. If you like to watch Hearthstone, it's a great free thing. You can just tune in and enjoy seeing some of your favorite podcasters or content creators kind of get together and just kind of duke it out. It's going to be a lot of fun this season.
And if you go to UnitedHearthstoneLeague.com, they have revamped their website with the 2 new divisions or conferences, I think they're calling them, bios on all the players, schedules. If you scroll down, there's in the schedule link, there's a full schedule of all the matches, and they should all be streamed. Very full schedules. I think there was 2 more tonight. There were 3 total today, and I think there's 2 or 3 tomorrow. Check that out. As well as following them on Twitter. They're definitely worth a watch.
Shout out to Ferris Biscuit for doing a great job with that website.
Ferris Biscuit and the Swagoy team that's handling the production.
Yeah.
There were some kinks this week, but again, that's first week kinks, as always happens when you're dealing with a new show, and they seem to be getting them all ironed out, and they'll be ready to roll.
All right, gang. So, as always, if you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you have not done so already, to give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. For more details about our patron-only Discord or our quarterly Hearthstone tournaments, please check out patreon.com/heropower. And we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.